Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
Okay, I was trying to get my camera set up okay. Is that better? It's too high, huh?
A
Let's
little
see. Is
you are.
that better?
That's awesome.
Okay. What's up, C-Bone Chef? What's up, 60-year-old Scorpio? What y'all doing on the phone? What y'all doing on this live? It looks like it's too high, but as long as you can see me, we're good.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm blessed.
Amen.
So
Amen.
I am so honored that you decided to do this with me.
Of course.
I
It's
um
always nice to be invited to have a little chit chat.
I was very influenced by your artistry through your dancing in
Oh, thank
357.
you.
Yeah,
Hey,
absolutely.
rock and roll. Thank you. Thank you.
So it was a summer day. Me and my friend, we were actually dancers ourselves,
Okay.
and we were in Philadelphia on South Street. We were
Mm-hmm.
doing shopping and we happened to see Hammer on the street. We were like, oh, wow, there's Hammer. So we were approaching him about to get his autograph. And then you and Terrible T kind of stepped out from beside him. And then we freaked out. We was like, oh my God, 357. And I think Hammer got a little upset because you guys stole his thunder from us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's how we were able to get you guys autographs. And it was a day to remember. So
Oh,
thank you for
that's
doing
awesome. Now, where was this? What city?
Philadelphia.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Are you
So
still in Philadelphia?
I'm from New Jersey. I
Oh,
visit Philadelphia often because it's right next door.
right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
pronounce
It's
your
not.
name for me.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Hey, Miss Virgo.
Pronounce your name for me.
Suhaila. Suhaila.
I mean,
Suhaila. Suhaila. Yes, ma'am.
what does that mean?
Yes, sir. What does it mean?
Hmm.
It means it's supposed to mean fluent and graceful. That's what it's supposed to mean.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
But it's just nice. It kind of rolls off your lips, so that's why I like it.
It does.
I
Does.
like it. Yeah.
So tell me, because you started out as a dancer, right?
I did. I did. I did.
Talk to me about your beginnings.
My beginnings basically with dance is just me loving to dance. That's it. I mean, I used to dance with my family, or for my family when my parents had guests over. I tried out for the cheerleading, the pep squad, all of that, to tap dance, not for a long period of time. Modern jazz, never ballet. And then
Okay.
just, yeah, just I just had a passion for it, but nothing where you have like proper training. I didn't go to like a dance school or anything like that. What's up, Dino? So that was it. I mean, it was just me loving to dance, and I just happened to meet Hammer one night from at a club called Silks in the Bay Area, and it
Okay.
just started from there. This there was no audition. He wasn't like looking for dancers per se like that, where he's going out to have auditions. We just met at the club. Kind of sort of at the club, but he asked me on our second meeting if I wanted to be in a video. And so it started from there. But this was not, you got to come and show up at this place and we have a table of judges. And it wasn't like that. Yeah, it was just very organic. Just, yeah.
That's where you're from, the Bay Area?
I was born in Houston, but raised in Oakland. Yeah, my
Okay.
mom moved us to the Bay Area when I was like 6 years old. My brothers and I, she moved us there.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. And
Hmm.
how did you meet Terrible T?
What's up, Thrippled? Um, Well, see, Terrible T came in at the end. So when
Oh,
Hammer started, yeah, when Hammer started, it was myself, a young lady named Carla, the two DJs, DJ Redeem, Lone Mixer, Two Big MC. Ace was there. I think that's it, if I have it correctly. I'm trying to see the faces. But it was MC Hammer and the Posse, and we were the Posse. And
Okay.
then Carla decided to leave as we found Little P. She was added to the group. Carla decided to leave, and after she left, it was myself, Lil P, Ace, and then the rest, as I mentioned. And then Terrible T was brought in at the end.
Okay.
So yeah, she was the last one to be added to the posse. Yeah, but
And
she was introduced by a security guy, a guy that was doing security for Hammer, Lord Hammer for Lloyd Johnson. He introduced Terrible T to MC Hammer or to
okay.
Hammer. Yes, the posse was fire. We was fire. Yes, Miss Virgo, you right, girl.
Which video was it?
Huh?
Which video was it that he asked you to be in?
Oh, that's a good question. There was no video.
Okay.
There was no video. The video didn't come to be, and the first video we did was Let's Get It Started in a club in Oakland. The very first one where we had all the troop outfits on. That was
Yes.
the very first video, but that didn't come until like a year later. We were doing performances around the Bay Area first.
Okay.
At school auditoriums, you know, things like that. That's what we were doing first. But there was no video. He just had a foresight what he wanted to do. So yeah, he knew he wanted to have dancers or I guess a certain presentation for his type of show. Yeah. So he said, do you want to be in the video? I was like, sure. Because again, and I've always said this, videos were becoming popular in the late 80s. And so I thought when he said that, we would just be the cute girls in the video. Cute outfits, sitting around being cute. He had
Oh,
something else in
I
mind.
had no idea that you were going to be using your talent at
Not at
all.
all. No,
Wow.
not in that way. Yeah, not at all. What's up, Triple? We are legendary, aren't we? So yeah, that didn't occur to us until rehearsals started, and rehearsals were with dancing first. He wanted to choreograph some songs that he was pushing on the radio, you know, selling from out of the back of his car and around the Bay Area. Yeah, so we started doing that first before the video ever happened. Mm-hmm.
So who was choreographing your moves back then?
We all did. We
Nice.
all contributed to it. Yes, he might have a concept and he might contribute a couple of moves, but we all collaborated on what the choreography would be. Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice.
What's up, music industry live? I'm gonna be saying hi to people the whole time. Just keep going. I'm listening. I'm listening. How y'all doing?
The actual first video that I saw was Pump It Up. I didn't see Let's Get It Started after.
Yeah, Pump It Up was after that. So yeah, it was Let's Get It Started and Pump It Up. Turn This Mother Out, I do believe. And then Terrible T and I were doing our own videos after that. Yeah, 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 Juicy, stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning, before you met Hammer,
Mm-hmm.
in the world of hip hop, who were you looking at?
Hip hop was new for me, so I wasn't looking at anybody. That wasn't, yeah, I graduated in 82. So between 82 and 87, it was all new to me. This hip hop, the sound, the artists, the lyrics, the whatever they were doing. So I didn't have an interest in it. I thought I was too grown. You know what I'm saying? That's not my kind of music. I'm into jazz or whatever. But yeah, after I met him, then it did change a little bit. But I never really looked at anybody like they, you know, inspired me. It wasn't like that. Yeah.
Okay.
No offense to anyone, but it just wasn't.
And how old are you around this time? Like when Hammer?
I was 23.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm 57 now. So yeah.
You
Yeah.
not crack. You do not.
God is good. He's holding me together. He holding me together. Yeah. So I was 23. My son was almost 3 years old.
Wow. Wow. You had a kid. So back then, I thought that you were a teenager. I thought that you were a teenager.
No, I wasn't. Terrible T was a teenager, and Lil P was. I think Lil P was 19, and Terrible T was like 17. So
Okay.
they were teenagers. I wasn't. No, I was way grown. Well, I say I was way grown, but I was grown.
Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Meet Hammer, you're in these videos and you start to tour.
Yeah.
What's that world like for you? Because it's like a whole new universe, basically.
It is a new universe, and it does take some navigating when you're not familiar with that at all. Who knows how to tour? Who knows how to do shows on stage with other artists backstage, who knows how to get on the tour bus and do all this stuff. We had some exposure being in the Bay because we did travel around the Bay Area in a bus or van, 15-passenger van. At one point, it was an RV. But just to be touring around the country, you know, you're not ready for that, especially as teenagers and young adults. You don't know what that entertainment world is like. So it was very slightly overwhelming. But when you had to focus on the show and performing the way you knew you needed to perform, then it takes your mind off of it. We're just on the stage to rip it up and leave. We're not getting into all that other extra. So that's one part of it. The other part is now you're seeing people, as you said, who did I, you know, watch or who influenced me. Now you're seeing these people not on videos, they're backstage. You know, so there's NWA, not thinking that they're having the same experience you are, but again, they are, because this is new to them as well. Right. So running into those, Heavy D and the boys, just all of that, Salt and Pepper, JJ Fad, yeah, looking at them backstage like, oh, you know, some of that kind of hits you. But at the other point, it's like you're the new kid on the block, and they really don't like you, so you got to go out here and rip it up.
Well, I will say this about females in hip hop, especially from that time period. Salt and Pepper was killing the game. They were doing what they were doing, but I had not seen females come as hard as you ladies did with dancing until you guys came out. You came like, you know, you came with authority.
Right. Well, I mean, that was the intention. And just to answer the question, Ms. Virgo asked me, did I have any regrets? I think the only regret I would have is not knowing the business the way I wanted to manage ourselves the way I would like to have in that situation. But that's neither here nor there because we didn't know what we needed to know. You see what I'm saying? It was all new to us. So that would be the only slight regret. But the intention was to come hard because you're coming into a very competitive genre, you know, an environment, and people are already talking like, oh, don't come to me, don't step to me because I'm, you know, I'm gonna knock you out or whatever. That's the whole attitude. So when you hit the stage, that's what you have to give. It's not about coming up there and being prissy or whatever. Whatever you had within you, we I would say trained, but we rehearsed it to where it was very polished. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you brought on the stage. So we went to have a good time, but we went to give a lot of energy, you know what I'm saying? And make sure people felt what we were feeling when we were on that stage. We wanted them to feel it. And we didn't care who it was, if it was just the audience or if it was those, our peers who were backstage. We wanted everybody to see it, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
So during that time, did you feel like things were coming at you fast? Like what, did it happen so fast it was hard for you to catch up?
Yes. Yeah, because now you're having to deal with, okay, I got to navigate this new environment that I'm not familiar with. I'm not educated on. I really don't have the support that I need to know how to navigate it as an artist, as a performer, you know, a dancer, and an artist now. And then the other side is, okay, I don't know how to navigate it, but do I just step away because I don't like, you know what I'm saying, how it's panning out? But yeah, we figured we would stay and fight through and make it, you know, make it do what it do. But it did happen very quickly. Quicker than some people's careers happen, you know what I'm saying? So you're talking about 87, I met him in 87, late 86, 87. And then we're practicing and rehearsing and performing around the Bay. And then 88, 89, we have an album out. You know what I'm saying? You're doing videos. Where does that happen that quickly? You know what I'm saying? But it was very, very fast. Yeah.
When did you know that you were famous? When did that hit you?
I don't know if it ever hit me. Did it ever hit me I was famous? I don't think it ever hit me like that.
No?
No, I think some of it may have tripped me out because we had fan mail and we never knew about fan mail. Like, what is this? Oh my God, your fans are sending in letters and they're this and they're this. And I was like, okay, we didn't know.
Wow.
We didn't know, yeah. So things that I did because I loved Prince, or things that I did because I loved Michael Jackson, or things that I did when I liked my artist, you know, Boy George or something like that. I'm trying to send a letter, looking on the back of the album cover. Where does the fan mail go? It never occurred to me that we were receiving fan mail. You know what I mean? So that was one. kind of eye opener. The second one was when we were on the Billboard charts, and you could see your song. And I was like, oh my God. So those kind of things, but just to say, oh, I'm famous, nah, that never. Mm-mm.
So at what point did Hammer decide that he wanted to have a girl group? Did he always know that from the beginning? Or did that develop as you were moving along, dancing for him?
I think it's twofold. I think what happened is, the way I understand it, is Capitol was interested in him as an artist, but not just him. They wanted to know what else he was going to bring to the table. What other acts did he have? So with that, he's thinking, oh, you know what? I could have, a girl group. I think he already had the name. I'm not sure. The way I understand it, and I need to say that, is that I thought he already had the name Oaktown's 357 and the concept for a female group. And he was auditioning, some girls, but it didn't pan out for whatever reason. And I think it happened kind of at the same time that he heard Lil P on the mic mimicking Salt and Pepper Tramp. So that caught his ear, even though he's auditioning for Oaktown 357. He's looking at her like, oh, you got a little sound, let me mentor you, let me work with you. So she played around with it a little bit. He really was serious about really moving her into that arena. And she said she didn't want to do it. The only way that she would do it is if myself and Terrible T did it with her. Mm-hmm. So as this conversation is evolving and panning out, then he's not listening to the young ladies here that he was auditioning. He took the name and he said, you know what, they have the look. They can already dance. Let's see what else I can work with them. But this was all in creating a package or roster for Capitol Records. Yeah.
Wow. So you had already said that you weren't really into hip hop. How did that happen for you? Like, how did you go from not being into hip hop and becoming a hip hop artist?
Because I understood after a while what it was. I wrote poetry. I still write poetry. So one of the producers, which is James Early, when he explained to me on the second album, actually, Fully Loaded, we were given the opportunity to now be part of the writing crew for Fully Loaded. So we were like, well, how are we gonna, do this? And James Early is like, it's just poetry. What do you have? And because I was like, well, I write. He said, let me see what you have. So with the first album, which is Wild and Loose, we were put into the studio and it was like on the job training. This is the beat. This is the concept. What y'all got? Let's, figure out. And so we figured out Juicy. I think he already had Yeah, Yeah, Yeah done. He had a couple of songs already that he had, Hammer had already had a couple of songs already ready. They just may not have had the lyrics. So we were able to come in and be a part of that creation. And so he always says, well, I wrote the first album. You didn't write that by yourself. No, sir. So Terrible T, her personality, Lil P's personality, mine, we all contributed too. And once we kind of understood, it was like, okay, we can do this, but the recording was something else we had to learn. What are our voices? How do we share that? So it was all on the job training with the first one. And we wanted to see how that was going to go. And Capitol loved it. We were like, what? You know what I'm saying? So now you got to put the work in because now they want a video. Now you got to create. So all this on the job training with that, it helped us to have a little bit more, I say a lot more confidence when the second album came, because at that point, Hammer came to us and said, well, it's time for your second album. Capitol Records has given a budget. You guys go into the studio with James and so and so and so and so, and y'all knock it out. Okay, well, who's writing? Y'all gonna write. Y'all just go in there. We're like, oh. So now we don't have supervision like that. We're just gonna go in here and, put it all together. So that's what happened. But just understanding what hip hop is, we were already doing part of it, which is dance. The other part is your lyrics and the attitude. So we got the poetry. You know what I'm saying? And we had to put those two together.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a little, like I said, on the job training.
So tell me what the money is looking like from dancing to now being a hip hop artist. Do you see the money change?
The budget changed overall to accommodate everybody what was happening, but in my pocket money, no. No, in our pocket money, that didn't change a lot. Yeah, we were not getting paid to rehearse in the very beginning. We were not getting paid for performances in the very, very beginning. A lot of times, outfits we had to figure it out to where it wasn't as expensive, so that if he had some money, MC Hammer, he could give us enough to get something. But there was not a lot of money in the very, very beginning. And even though he's got this record deal and it's a nice amount of money they gave him for all the artists, there was not like, oh, I'm rich, you know, as who is that on tip of my tongue? I'm rich, bitch. I don't know who said that, but you know what I'm saying. It wasn't that. We didn't never have that occurrence, you know. Rick James, who plays Rick James? Rick James when he says
Well,
that. Dave Chappelle, yeah. So, but no, that didn't happen. You know, that never happened. You know.
so how are you managing this? You're a single mom at this point. How are you managing?
As a single mom, my mom helped. I had an aunt, some cousins. They all stepped in and helped, you know, and made sure that if I was on tour, they could bring my son out to see me. When I was on tour, and if they couldn't bring him, they were taking him to school and picking him up. So it was very, as a community, my family stepped in, you know,
Nice.
and became a really strong village, you know, and made me feel not so bad about leaving my baby because he was a baby. But yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
The first album drops.
Yes.
Yeah was the first single, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Who's doing your style? How do you get the? I see. Who's designing your style? Like who's?
We were. It
Oh,
was out of the store. We were doing that.
okay.
I can't tell you what store we went to. I cannot remember that, but we picked our outfits, you know, and the shoes and the socks and the whole 9 yards. We did that.
Okay.
Yeah, and the yeah video, that first top that we had on, it was kind of like a little top here with the suspender attached.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to
With
change.
to it.
Yeah. And so we had to change because as I'm dancing, I'm constantly coming out of it. So they're having to constantly stop because I'm having to adjust it and get the strap together and it. So we actually had to stop and go buy new tops for that. So that's why you see us change into the ones with the jackets with the little, yeah. But we picked that stuff. I mean, we just try to figure it out. At that time, we just didn't have a budget for a wardrobe. So you know, or a wardrobe person. How about that? Yeah,
Okay.
we figured out what we were gonna wear and
Now,
bought it
in
and made it work.
the video, they're for you, and
Yes.
little P isn't in that video. Talk to me about that.
Lil P left early on. I want to say after the album was completed and right before that first video, there was some I think we did the Arsenio Hall show. I think that's what it was. But there was always, you know, there was some tumultuous stuff going on anyway, about getting paid and, you know, how things were being managed and stuff like that. And we were all kind of a little fed up, a little disgruntled, you know what I'm saying? But we did the Arsenio Hall show and they paid us. They paid us as talent to be on that show. And when she saw the check, she was like, oh, wait a minute. What's this for? And when they explained to us how they take care of, you know, the artist or talent that comes on the show, she was like, we should have been getting paid. You know what I'm saying? Just the whole concept. And on the way there, before we did the Arsenio Hall show, we were presented with the contracts from Capitol, but we didn't have an attorney. So when I say on the way there, on the plane, on our way to LA, they gave us the contracts and said to us, y'all need to sign these contracts. We said, well, do we have an attorney to go over it with us? We thought we would get to review it. And we were told, no, you don't have an attorney. You don't need an attorney. Either you sign it now while we're on the plane or by the time we land, and it's not signed, we're sending you back to the Bay Area. So everybody at this point is like, okay, we've committed. You know what I'm saying? We've been in this a year or two now. What are we supposed to do? I mean, we were all looking around at each other like, what are we supposed to be doing here? You see what I'm saying?
So who
go ahead.
person that actually sat down with Capitol Records to talk about your deal if you didn't do it?
That was MC Hammer and his brother. Louis Burrell. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were there with the
They,
negotiations going on.
they
Say
were
that.
your they were your lawyers.
Yes, in essence, they were the lawyers. Yes, so that's what was said. We get there, we land. By this time, everybody signed it because we're invested. You know, we don't want to turn back now. Um, so we do the show, we get paid. She sees the check. She's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm good because this is not, you know, panning out." So she leaves. Things still continue because we're trying to figure out how she's going to stay involved. We don't know how serious, you know, is this, I'm just upset today or I'm just out, you know. She was gone for a while. She came back. We did a couple of performances. Um, and then at some point she was like, yeah, I don't want to do it anymore. And we were like, okay. So Terrible T and I had to figure out, you know, if we were going to continue and if we could do it on our own. And while we're having this conversation, Hammer's already over there. I got to find 2 more girls.
Mm.
Why? We can do this, you know. So he finds Stacy and Claudia. They do the video, and their intention was not to be part of the group. So they did the video. They were fine with that, and they left.
Because one of the girls, wasn't she like with Bobby Brown or something? Like
She
in
was, yeah, but that was her thing. She wasn't trying to be an artist. She wasn't trying to be a dancer. She didn't mind being the girl in the video, which is what we thought we were going to be in the beginning. So she didn't mind that at all, but she was not trying to be a member of a group or artist or nothing like that. So she ended up leaving. She was very clear. And then Stacy, you know, pretty much was kind of clear too. That's not what she wanted. She did leave, and I think she went to JJ Fad briefly, but she really was not serious about, you know, being in the business and seeing it go any further. So now we're back to Terrible T and I, you know, and we just told him, hey, we don't need anybody else. We got it. And so he let us go ahead and run with it at that point. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then you come out with Juicy.
Yep. Yep. He did a remix to Juicy with BNGB on there with her vocals. And we had Ho Fred Ho as our dancers and killed it. Killed
Yeah.
it.
There
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Where did those clothes come from for that video?
That was from Tony Briggs. He
Okay.
did that. Yeah, because he started creating the harem pants for Hammer. And then
Mm-hmm.
for us to make it sexy, we had the big tops with the big circle in the front and the
Mm-hmm.
harem pants. So Tony Briggs, he came up with that whole concept. Yeah.
Very nice. Very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah.
Your image was very sexy back then. You reeked of sex. Did you guys encounter any of the harassment, you know, with men being on tour, being in a male-dominated industry? Do you have any stories like that?
There wasn't any harassment, thank goodness. Hammer and all of the guys ran a pretty good, tight organization. So you perform. Tony from Soul Train, yes, Tony Briggs from Soul Train. He did the outfits. One of the people listening asked that, but security was tight. So we didn't have. If there were guys approaching about us, we would learn about it later. You
Mm.
know, they would say something like, yeah, you know, so and so from, I'm just throw a name of Jodeci or something like that. Yeah, they wanted to holler at you, blah blah, but we had to shut that down. Okay, I mean, like, what does that mean? Nothing, because we're not allowed to be groupies. You see, we're
Yeah.
not allowed to interact.
Mm.
So there were no numbers exchanged, nobody sneaking to the rooms. No, we're not sneaking out, none of that. So they ran a pretty tight ship, keeping us sheltered from that kind of interaction for sure. Yeah.
I meant to ask you, where does Sweet LD come from? The name?
Actually, Hammer gave us all our nicknames.
Really?
Yeah, he gave us all our nicknames. I think Too Big had no. I think he helped Too Big with his. Lone Mixer already had his, I believe. Redeem already had his. Ace is Ace. So he did Lil P. He did Terrible T. I'm Sweet LD. So Sweet Lady Dewana. Dewana is my birth name. So that's what it means.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
right.
But that's
So
what it means. Go ahead.
you dating back then? Like, how do you have a personal love life?
You don't. You
Wow.
don't, yeah, unless you have somebody who's very secure at home, but you're not at home enough to really date. you know. And if you find somebody on tour, it's going to be within the organization because somebody else, they're also touring. So, you know, if you're on the tour with them, it's brief. Tours only lasted a month or so, you know what I'm saying? A couple months, 3 months. So you can't get real serious. So it's not to say that nothing was happening. It's
Right.
just, yeah,
Right.
you have to really, yeah, you have to be kind of slick with it. But yeah, their intention was to keep us very separated and sheltered, and they did quite a good job of that.
Okay.
Quite a good job of that. Yes.
And moving right along, the second album comes out. Well,
Yes.
not comes out, but you're gearing up to do the second album.
Mm-hmm.
What's the temperature like in your stable during that time, going into the second album? Have all those issues from before been ironed out a little bit?
Ironed out in that there's a refinement to the presentation.
Mm,
There's a lot more confidence in our ability to now navigate how to now, you know, write the songs or do the choreography or come up with our outfits. You know, that has changed. And now you have different people doing wardrobe, in-house wardrobe. So he
mm,
had Tony Briggs, James Head, Abraham Lopez, and Duval. So he had 4 guys who were actually, you know, doing costumes for all these acts that he had. So he didn't just have Oaktown 357 or Too Big MC or Ace Juice or Ho Frat Ho. Now he's got BNGB, David Black, Benito. He's got all these other, what is it? One Cause, One Effect, Special Generation, and Soft Touch.
mm,
He's expanded now. So now it's not just wardrobes for us and MC Hammer the Posse. It's now Oaktown 357 and Ho Frat Ho. They need outfits. Soft Touch, who are his background singers and, you know, special, they need outfits and their own group. So he had to kind of, you know, spread that responsibility out. So it became a lot more of a refined machine in the direction that it was going in. And I think he had to trust us to handle that project because he's got so many irons in the fire. You know what I mean? So it was just enough of a distraction to give us the freedom, but not enough of the distraction to take away complete, you know, to give up their complete control. So we
mm.
still didn't go into the boardrooms to speak to anybody on Capitol to say, you know, what's the next direction. That was still something he handled with Louis Burrell, and it was communicated back to us. See what I'm
Mm.
saying? So we were never privy to those conversations.
I
Yeah.
guess I'm getting at there was I guess a redirection in the contract, but you just weren't privy to it.
I don't think there was ever a redirection.
Mm,
I think the contract always stated that. I think they wanted to not let us know so they could manage how they, you know, how we, whatever happened to us. So the less we knew about what was in the contract, the less we would call them to carpet on it or say, you know, be accountable or, you know, want more control. They were still moving everything. So if Capitol Records gave you a budget for our second album, how come we didn't know that ahead of time?
wow.
Why are you telling us? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, this was not where we have to go meet with Capitol because you guys have done the first album, it's done really well. Now they want to meet with you to discuss what direction you guys might want to go in and what their ideas are, you know. So let's go meet with them and have that conversation. No. Capitol gave us a budget. It's time for you guys to go do your second album. So you're gonna meet with James early. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm.
Yeah, that's how it was. It was like that from day one on. Yeah.
Even with like keeping the illusion of things, did the money change from the first album to the second album just to appease you?
It did change in that they had to keep us, what is the word I'm looking for? Available.
Mm,
We had to be available. So there was an agreement of how much money we needed each month
mm-hmm,
to stay available. So that means that if you're on tour for 4, 5, 6 months, you've made that money, you come home. It could last you, you know what I'm saying, for
mm-hmm.
whatever time until you go to the next tour. But if you go home and you only have so much, you got to get a job in between. Right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because this is not regular money. So you got to get a job in between the next tour. However, but if they have a budget to keep you available, so you're not in school or you're not getting a job or any of those things, now
Mm-hmm.
you have money to pay for your apartment or the car. So yes, that did change. There was more money to, yeah, have a life, you know, outside of that while you're at home, rehearsing and practicing, because all that takes money.
Yeah.
All that
Yeah.
takes money. So there was money coming in, thank goodness, for record sales from the record company, all of that stuff to manage royalties, all of that. I'm assuming some of that because, again, we're not privy to how this money is coming in, where it's going. But things did change because he had an office, he had office staff. I mean, it was growing.
Yeah.
It's a legit business now. You know, he's got the deal with Capitol, and now he's got his own record label because he's wanting to put out more artists. You
Right.
know, so that's Soft Touch, Special Generation. Like I said, David Black, Benito, BNGB, all of these people he's got coming in. So it did change. We did have money in our pockets at this point. You know, I could go buy groceries
Yeah.
and take care of my son and pay for school, you know, that kind of stuff. But you needed that because tour money is not as long all the time, you know,
Right.
unless you're a headliner. That money stretches further. Opening act, not so much. So to put it in perspective, at one point we were the opening act. They may have negotiated 10 to 15,000 per show for us.
Mm-hmm.
By the time they deducted from that what needed to be paid, then she and I, Terrible T and I, might be splitting $3,000
Wow.
out of 10. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You do. Let me ask you this. Were you ever presented like with a ledger of where your money was going? Were you privy to like the
The
accounting?
only the only ledger we had was before when we were opening act before one of the tours. We
Mhm.
saw how they deducted. Oh God, it was lights, and I can't remember. I have it though. I have the document. But they just say, for instance, it was sound engineer, light engineer. It would be like that. They would
Wow.
deduct. And then at some point, if it started at 15 or 10,000, you get down to the bottom because they deducted for all this. The balance is 3,000, and you guys split that. That's what our check was. So you tell me if we did a show, is $1,500 going to last me? You see what I'm saying? And then we would go back in this same show as an opening act. In the same show, we would go back and dance with him because now he's the headliner.
That's right.
But we didn't get paid for that. There was no check that came to us as dancers. Yeah. So there had to be a stipend at this point to make sure everybody that's in the organization on the roster somehow stayed available, you know. And some of these people were not native to California. They had come from North Carolina or they had come from, you know, Tennessee. I'm just throwing out some places. I think Special Generation was from Florida somewhere. So now
Mhm.
they're all in the Bay. So are they all going to get jobs?
Wow.
Yeah. So it's not to knock it. It's just the way that it was done. It was interesting. It was interesting.
It's into perspective for people that are, the people that are listening. Because I used to be a dancer. I started out as a dancer.
Uh
That
huh.
whole doing your own show and
Mm-hmm.
it, and giving your energy to your own show, and then
Yes.
having to come back on and
Yeah.
jump into someone else's performance and give
Right.
energy again. That's exhausting. And you're doing this night after night after night.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. But that's what the training was. I say the training and the rehearsals. That was it was for. But at the same time, we didn't know that's what we were going to be doing. You know
Mm,
what I mean? So it was on the job training.
wow.
You know, and the whole time, I know for me, my thing was as long as I stay in this and improve and grow and show that I can step up to the plate and make this happen, you know, and do it, then we would garner more respect and
Hmm.
then we would get more control and then we
Hmm.
would have more freedom. And you see what I'm saying? But there
Yeah.
was always a little, just give them a little bit of rope, but I'm gonna hold it right here.
It's
So
like the cart in front of the horse. Hmm.
yeah, and so that's what we learned. That's why I said if there was, when I was asked earlier what the regret was, just not knowing enough of the business and how it works to one, have the confidence to navigate myself a certain way, you
Yeah.
know, and then two, to leave. If I felt like I wasn't being valued enough, having enough confidence to leave. I'm like, look, I've been in here 2 years. I'm not going nowhere. I'm going to make this work. They going to have to respect me at the end. Can't say that ever happened, but I learned a lot. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I learned a lot and I grew a lot. So, yeah.
Okay, so now we're into the second album. You and Terrible T are a package deal.
Hey Tracy, Plush Life Media. She was with MC Hammer too. She worked in the office and
Oh,
she sang on our songs and stuff. And she took good care of us. Hi Tracy. She's
oh, that's,
amazing now.
do you still have some relationships from back then with people?
Oh, I do. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
nice.
We are siblings.
That's cool.
If that makes any sense, we are siblings. They call me big sis or little sis. You know, I'm very bossy. I must clarify. And most of the men, like I said, we all grew up together. So you had from teenagers on up to young adult. You know what I'm saying? 25, 26, something like that. I love you too, boo. But we are siblings, good, bad, or indifferent. We grew up, you know, in that environment and trying to survive, trying to thrive, you know, trying to keep your integrity, your self-respect, all of those things. We learned a lot. Like I said, that true on-the-job training. But I keep in touch with most of the people from back then that I know where they are. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I have a bad relationship with anybody. Um, oh yeah, I did. Oh, but that doesn't matter. So yeah.
So you and Terrible T are now into the second album, and it's like rinse and repeat. You're doing the same procedures over again. You're on tour. Are you still now from the second album? Are you still opening and dancing for him still?
Yes. We were opening for him. I'm sorry. We were opening now on our own, but not going back to dance with him because now he's got his own group of dancers.
Got you.
So when Oaktown 357 was really kind of catching some momentum, you know, we were gaining momentum. He needed other dancers because it was very hard to keep us with him and then, you know, come back and do the show. We
Right.
needed to separate and have our own persona, you know, our own thing. So we were doing that and getting our dancers. And then he was auditioning dancers. And so as those dancers were hired, then we had to teach them the choreography. So by the
Oh,
time the next tour comes around, we're opening, but he's got his own dancers now. So yeah.
and so of course you're not getting a choreography fee. I mean,
Oh
check. Oh,
no.
no.
No choreography fee. What we were told is that he's got new dancers, and that we better not feel some type of way about the dancers and treat them less than, because if we did, there would be a problem. I'm like, dude, where are you getting that from? We weren't that kind of people anyway. You know what I mean?
No.
So that was the conversation. We got these new dancers coming in, and they're gonna need to learn the choreography, and I don't want you guys, blah blah blah, blue blue. I'm like, bruh, what? We're not like that. You know what I'm saying? And we weren't. So we showed them the choreography and went on about our business. But no, there was no choreography fee at all. It was not.
So the second album, why just the second album? What happened?
The second one, Wild and Loose. I'm sorry, Fully Loaded.
Yeah, fully loaded. You fully loaded comes out. Why not the third?
Why wasn't there a third? That's what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's a good question. I don't know. I have no idea. Don't know. I do know Wild and Loose did very well. I do know that Capitol Records was very happy with the Wild and Loose. That's why we did the second one. New photo shoots, new wardrobe. I'm telling you, it was just a whole different vibe. And you can tell by how the videos looked. You can tell how the choreography was, because we still were doing choreography, but we were stepping it up. Like, it was no joke. So I know the album was doing really well. The videos were doing really well. But we went on tour. We were opening. I thought we were doing great. We didn't hear any negative feedback. We would make sure we check ourselves. Hope Right Ho was our dancers at one point, and then at another point we had female dancers and a whole female band. Oh, it was tight. It was amazing. And next thing I know, they're taking us off the tour. We don't know what happened. They had us sign these papers in this what they call it, this cloak and dagger type meeting, in a hotel room. We don't know what the paperwork was. They said it was for tax purposes. We was like, okay, why are we in the room in the dark? You know what I'm saying? With a lamp or so on. It was just real weird. Trust me. Terrible T has immaculate memory. She could probably tell you, but I knew when we walked in, I was like, something didn't feel right. So we signed the paperwork. Next thing I know, they're telling us they're taking us off the tour, that we were not helping ticket sales. We needed to go back on promotional tour, and they were going to swap us out for TLC. So TLC ended up on that tour. So they took us back to promotional touring, which is in clubs and radio stations, and then eventually sent us back home. And we were home maybe, I want to say 2 months, maybe 3 or something like that. We didn't know what was going on. They called us down to the studio. This was the rehearsal and the recording studio all in one, the gym, all this is down there. And we get down there, and again, it's a meeting, and this is Louis Burrell, and I'm not going to say how he said it. I'm just going to tell you what he said. This is your last check, and it's over. And they gave us the last check, and that was it.
Wait. So that was the ending? That was the presentation. This is your last check, and it's over.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know why there wasn't a third. We did do the EP, which has Fila treatment on it. So after that, that was it.
What's your state of mind at that moment? What are you thinking at that moment?
We didn't know what to think, because we asked, what do you mean? I'm not going to say what he said, but it was clear that was it, that there was no other conversation to be had. That's it. So Terrible T and I left. We walked out of that meeting, and I remember looking at her as she walked to her car. She's looking at me. We're looking at each other like, did that just happen? She literally gets in her car, get in mine, and we drive off. We didn't know what to say. I went home and I told my mom, and I had a mixture of emotions. Like I was extremely, can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. I was upset, just shocked. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you serious? And then on another side, I was like, ooh, I'm glad that's over. That I didn't have to leave. I didn't have to make that decision. They made it for me. Yeah, because it had been tough.
Wow.
It had gotten tough. Yeah. So it was like that. Like, what? Like, I did all this, and this is how y'all treat us? And then the other side was like, but you didn't have to make that decision. Just get it together.
So as time goes on and you start to see what eventually happened to that empire happen, do you say to yourself, the universe is just, karma? You say that to yourself? You look at it that way?
I think what happened with us is that they, and I say they, but I feel like it was Louis Burrell. I know it was Louis Burrell, underestimating Oaktown's 357, overestimating his power. You see, and because they have been doing things behind the scenes that we never were privy to. Like, I don't need to know everything, but I need to know what's going on with us. You know what I mean? Right. But because they were doing things behind the scenes that we were not completely aware of, that's what started to come out as to why they were trying to let everybody go. That's what started to come out. How there was a mismanagement of monies, not quite the best relationship between Busted Records, Louis Burrell, and Capitol Records. It had become rocky. You do know that at some point, Capitol let everybody go, And
Mm.
Hammer put everybody on busted because Capital was like, this relationship is not working. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there was a lot we were not involved with decision making, conversations, none of that. So we don't know, how it started to
Mm.
implode, but it did start at some point to implode, and it got too much to cover up and too
Mm.
much to manage. And so
Right.
little things started to pop off, little explosions, little fires. And now we see it's starting to come, and that was the reason we were spoken to. I think they let us go before they let anybody else go, which was confusing to us. Like, how do you let the first people go that came with you, started with you, help you, build this? How do you let them go first?
Right.
And everybody else. Yeah, it was just really weird. But yeah, it wasn't like, oh, this is karma. I feel like things have been happening the whole time. We just
Mm.
didn't know. We didn't see it. Yeah.
So your final check, when you look at the number, is it a substantial number? Do you look at it like not
No,
necessarily rich, but
no, no.
no?
It was
Wow.
it was the same check that we normally got. Yeah. It wasn't substantial. It wasn't like a severance pay type check. It wasn't that. No. At least I don't recall it to be, because I'm gonna tell you, I don't even know if I looked at it. I'm just like, yeah, I don't even know, but I don't recall it being substantial. I have to ask about that. But yeah, it was just, what difference does it make? This is how you treat people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it was really interesting, but yeah, the business, that's what they say. This is the entertainment industry. I don't know how come it's ratchet like that, but it is ratchet. I'm just saying. It is ratchet.
What do
Yeah.
you do after that? How do you pick up the pieces and start your new life?
Well, there's a grieving process.
Yeah.
There's an elimination process. You gotta just, all of that has to come out. All of it. Whatever emotions you had, whatever you went through. So that's what I went through. I had to go home. I had to talk to my mom. You got to think about, I got to move out of my apartment. I got
Mm.
to put everything in storage or a sale. What am I going to do? It's like this. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I had to grieve, had to find a way to celebrate. Because again, I was like, ooh, I didn't have to make that decision to leave. They made it for me. So that part is trying to understand those
Yeah.
two feelings. Yeah, I had to figure that out. Figure out what to do with my son. Because remember, I have a son now. He's 7 or 8 now, something
Mm.
like that. So yeah, it was a lot. My mom, she had to comfort me. She was like, "You can come back home." Um, yeah, it was just, where's my money in my checking account? Do I still have the money I had? Like, what's really going on? That
Right.
part, called my dad. My dad was like, well, if you want to come to LA, you can come to LA. You got to get a regular job.
Yeah.
So now you got to reconcile. I was just on Soul Train. Let me just put it like I was just on Soul Train. Or I might have been just on the Apollo. Now I have to go interview, which I haven't done interviews or fill out an application in 6 years. How does that work? So just trying to figure all that stuff out. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
You ever think about staying within the industry, like doing something else within the industry? Because at this point, with your resume, you could have been a choreographer. You could have went to go dance for other people. You could have been in other videos. Did you think about
Hey,
that?
man. You know what? This is the thing. When you're in an organization like that,
Mm-hmm.
they don't really share with you other things that you can do in the industry. Remember,
Mm.
we don't know the industry. We
Mm.
don't know what's available. And then on top of that, you're not allowed to network. So you don't have numbers to reach out to people, to have connections to people,
Wow.
because we were so sheltered. So I never thought about doing choreography for anybody else until later.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I mean? You're not in the industry anymore by the time it occurs to you. You've been working a regular job now 2, 3 years. So, now you happen to build, but have we known? Oh yeah, that would have been okay. You know what I'm saying? It was a little bit easier, I think, for the dancers because they were still an environment for dancers, and I believe they had um, become a part of a union or something. I don't know how that was communicated where they were able to kind of make some transitions and do choreography. So there were a couple of dancers that came out of that organization and they were able to, sustain themselves. But for me and Terrible T, no, we didn't have that
Wow.
bridge. Yeah, we didn't have that. Yeah.
So, what was your first job post 357?
My first job post 357. Let me think. Hold on. Let me think. Let me think. I worked for my cousin because I thought it was the salon job, but it was not. I worked for my cousin for his cleaning business,
Mm.
Queen of Clean. I think it was Queen of Clean, and he
Okay.
named it after my cousin, his wife, because she's a little, I would say OCD. She's just a little bit OCD. You know what I'm saying? So he had a janitorial service called Queen of Clean. I thought it was perfect because most of his contracts were like late in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
So we would probably not leave until like 9 p.m. and we would be out till maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to see people who might recognize me and I didn't have to answer no questions. And this was in LA. So
Yeah.
it was way easy to do. But I think that was my first one, if I'm not mistaken. And then I decided to go to cosmetology school. So then I worked in a salon at that point.
Okay.
Wait,
So,
no, that's not. Wait, is that right? I think that's right. I think. I could be wrong because I remember working for Pacific Bell. You remember it's a phone company in the Bay Area. So
wow.
one of the two. It was either Pacific Bell first. That's why I said, let me think. It might have been Pacific Bell and then Quinn Clean. But those would have been one of the two first jobs I had.
And
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel when you click on the television and you see Hammer still on stage getting it with the posse, and you're now working a regular job? What,
Um, he wasn't really still on TV.
no?
No, no. By the time we left, he wasn't, I want to say, as popular. There was a slow decline for him. There was a
Okay.
slow decline for him. I did have to reconcile it because I felt like there was still this animosity with Louis Burrell and some of the people who were in management with Oaktown 357. I don't know why. I honestly do not know why. But I know they came to LA at one point. I knew that they were going to be there. I found a way to go to the show. I was backstage and I really just kind of wanted to see, what was going on. Like, I know y'all tried to kick us to the curb, but I'm still here, you know what I'm saying? And I was cute. I was cute. So I wanted to show up and just see. And it was like this, um, what you doing here? Why? I'm like, what is wrong with you guys? You know what I'm saying? Just what is the problem? Not
Wow.
only did you kick us to the curb and treat us like crap the whole entire time, but now that I've recovered, okay, and I'm in LA and I'm doing well, I was in cosmetology school. Like I told you, I was cute. I had not been on drugs or alcohol, none of that. I really was, it was a resilient time for me. So summertime, got a little mini skirt on, little half top. Oh, I was cute. So I'm walking up in there like, and they got attitude. I'm like, what is it? You know what I mean? But it was like, what you want? I don't want nothing. I came to see the show. I just came to speak. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like I said, it was unreal. It was
Wow.
unreal. Everybody was not rude like that, but for sure. Yeah. Craig Brooks, God rest his soul, Louis Burrell, that was their attitude then. You know what I'm saying? But today, to be where I am is just a lesson. Like, yeah, we were all young. We were all naive about this entertainment industry. Um, Very trusting, very trusting, even Hammer, very trusting, and trying to navigate something so big that happened so quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and just not being advised well. We were not being advised at all, but for him as a business person, just not as far as I'm concerned, how you allow people to treat the people that came with you, not being advised well. You know what I'm saying? So it was a extreme learning experience. Now, do you bounce back from that? Hopefully, so that when you move forward, you're treating people totally differently.
Yeah.
You know? You don't want the same experience, and you don't want the same consequence.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what that was. But yeah, it was interesting.
So one thing that's been consistent from the beginning to
Yes.
now is health and physical fitness, because that's the one thing that you've had from the beginning through now. You were a dancer.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think um health per se was obvious back then.
Okay.
Physical fitness, not in the way that it is now. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you understand what it is now. But back then, at that age, child, we would go to rehearsal. Somebody would get thirsty, and we got Twinkies and chips and candy bars, and
But you have youth on your side. Then who needs
that's
health?
what I'm saying. But we also didn't know
Yeah.
that you need to stretch. You need to warm up. You need to take care of your body after the show. Maybe go get the chiropractor to check you out and get a massage. These things we didn't really understand because we did have youth on our side. But I learned probably, I guess, in 2010 or 2011 that dancing is athletic. It makes you an athlete. I never knew that. My husband actually told me that. So yeah, now being at this age, yeah, I've had to pay a lot more attention to the health and the fitness and all that stuff. And I love it. I absolutely love it because I still get to dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk to me about today. What's going on with Sweet LD?
Today, she is a health and wellness advocate, a fitness professional. I have virtual classes that I teach twice a week, and I teach twice at the gym. So that's what I'm doing now.
Very, very, very nice.
Yay!
And if
Yes.
people want your services, how can they tell people how they can connect with you?
I am why fitness is my tag on my fitness page on Instagram. I am why fitness, and what that means is you are your biggest why. So that's why you say I am why. I'm wealthy, healthy, and youthful, and that's what you want to pursue daily. And then Sweet LD of Oaktown Street. Well, Sweet LD 357 on the other side, and then official Oaktown 357. But they can find me on Instagram. They can Google Sue Ayla Severe. They can Google Sweet LD. They can Google Juana Jonikin. You're gonna find me. You know what I mean? But my virtual classes will be on I Am Why Fitness. I post there. And then I'm just myself on Sweet LD. And, I try to manage the Oaktown 357 page. That's not always easy, but I do my best. Who
This,
says she's a brand? Yes, Tracy is trying to make sure I understand all brands. Tracy be on me about that, and I'm really, really trying to work on that because I'm not used to having to do that for myself. We had Tracy and all the people in the office at Busted make sure that we were well represented and loved, and so now I have to learn how to do that on my own. On the job training, I tell
yeah.
you, it never ceases. So yeah, I am a brand, Tracy. Thank you.
I have a question. Do you get like any residual, like maybe a 50 cent check or $100 check coming
I'm
in?
so glad you said that. Yes, the checks are probably 50 cents, maybe sometimes $10,
Okay.
But it is not it's not big,
Yep.
big money. No, it's not. I think the biggest payoff for me now is for people to still love O-Town 357 beyond that paycheck, beyond that 50 cents. You know what I'm saying? Still play our music, still want to tell me how the first time they heard our song or came to the concert, or still love us. One guy just put in my DMs, he loves the eyebrows. I know what that means. I had a unibrow way back then, so they're still thick, thank God. So stuff like that, I think is a bigger, payoff. And then the respect that we have for the most part in the industry, I think is a bigger payoff too. Wild and loose, yes, wild and loose. So yeah.
All right. So are you? I'm asking this question just to put it out there. I think I know the answer already. Are you cognizant of your place in musical history?
Not 100%, but I'm trying to do better.
Yeah.
Not 100%, but I am trying to do better. And that's why Tracy stays on me to help me understand that we are a brand, that we did
Right.
establish ourselves, that we contributed to trends, we inspired people. Yeah, and we made our place and we made history, and we have a solid place in history. I think for myself, for sure, I can't speak for Terrible T or Lil P, but I do know for me, when you see all these events take place where they're acknowledging females in hip hop, but they don't have Oaktown's 357 there, or even JJ Fad. I could say they don't have JJ Fad or Sugar T from the Bay Area. We're not always in that room at the table. And so it gets confusing, like, well, why would we not be invited? And, some people have said, well, it's the bottom line of the dollar. Are you guys going to bring the dollar value? Or you guys are not relevant right now? Or there's not enough of a physical present or visual presence of you. And I'm like, no, I don't see that because I'm Googleable.
Yeah. That's right.
So if you wanted to know where I was, you can find me. You understand what I'm saying? But I know we worked hard enough where we paid our dues to deserve a place there. But that's okay. That's your table. Those are your chairs. I'll build my own because, as Tracy said, we have a brand already. So we can do it ourselves. Yeah.
That's
we can do it ourselves. Yeah.
And I will say this as a fan. A lot of female groups came out and they were like watered down Salt and Pepper. To me, you looked at Oaktown 357 as being that. You stood out on your own. And it was what I mentioned earlier. You guys brought different energy to the table. It wasn't the same kind of energy. Yeah, you wore the sexy clothes, but it wasn't Salt and Pepper-ish. It wasn't even a Salt and Pepper adjacent type of situation. You were your own entity. And I told you bringing that.
Yeah, we were never trying to be Salt and Pepper ever. It wasn't that. The sexy was like I was about to say side piece, but that's not what I meant. The sexy was not intentional either. So people ask us about the biker shorts and the tops. One, we needed something we would not just burn up in, and two, it was functional. It could handle the sweat and it would last through the show.
Right.
That's literally where it came from. But because we all, I guess, had figures that people thought were attractive, they felt we were being sexy. I don't have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to own it. I don't have, but it was never an intention when Hammer was putting his group together, MC Hammer the Posse, to have us compete with Salt and Pepper or anybody of that nature. He really wanted to have his whole image be powerful. It's energy, it's entertainment, it's powerful, it's all encompassing. We're about to rock it, period. You know what I'm saying? When we get on that stage, you leave everything on that stage. It's no joke about what we came to do and how we did it. You know what I mean? So we never said, ooh, we gonna be sexy, let's wear it. No, this was work. You see what I'm saying? So to know that we came from where we came from, him selling CDs out of the back of his car, doing whatever he could in the Bay Area to build up his name and build up a reputation and create the frenzy, producing songs and doing all that stuff. And then we're rehearsing hours on end every day. It was not to be played with. That's, so like I said, sexy was just another added piece to it. It wasn't intentional. And then we definitely wanted to make a name for ourselves because of how hip hop was very hard. You didn't have a lot of party stuff going on initially in the beginning, I don't think. And you didn't have a lot of entertainment initially in the beginning. You know what I mean? So when he brought that, total different look, total different energy, of course it's going to be attractive. And then you're going to get some flack from people because then they want to tear it down because it doesn't look like what they said is the standard. You see what I'm saying? Right. But that was such a huge genre back then. Everybody sounded different. Everybody looked different. You know what I'm saying? They could bring their own element to it and it would be solid. So I don't mind being sexy. I believe we were trendsetters with the hair, with the outfits. I think our lyrics were just as solid as anybody else's. You see what I'm saying? The vocals, same thing. Somebody said, well, you guys weren't lyricists. Yes, I was. Okay? Take the music out and read it. It's still, it's still lyrical. I don't have to sound like you to be accepted. You feel me? So that's why I'm like, we did our work. We paid our dues. We suffered. if that's part of hip hop, you know, if you want to say, well, you didn't struggle. Yes, we did. We struggled, you know. So I don't know what elements they say we had to, you know, pass through these chambers and say, okay, you can be accepted as women in hip hop, and now you can come to this event and represent us on it. Girl, bye. Bye. I've been on Arsenio, Robert Townsend, the Apollo, and all across this country, and I still have stuff on the radio and TV. I don't need you to tell me. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, yeah, I'm okay. But I think we did what we came to do. We didn't cut no corners. We did what we came to do. Yeah, yeah.
Sweet D, I appreciate your time and energy.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You know, your I say art matters. Great
Yes.
art inspires.
Mm,
Are applicable.
I love that. Nice.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Great interview too. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And don't feel bad about Hammer. Like I said, I'm just telling you my story.
That's right.
That is my truth. That's my experience. We were all young. He was doing the best he could given what he had, you know. So, yes, we should all be held accountable. And I think we've done that so we can, you know, forgive each other and move on.
So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to
Yes.
have some time in between this interview, and I produce another show called The Stephen Knight Show. I want to have you on there talking about physical fitness and wellness,
Oh, that's awesome. Sure.
specifically for that.
Oh, that's awesome. I would love to do that. Thank you. We love you too. Thank you, Jermaine. I'm a sweetheart. Thank you, Tracy. I love that they love me. This is so fun. But thank you. You did a great interview. For real, for real.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying so.
Excellent questions. Yes, yes, yes. So let me know when the next segment is. And
Will.
we got to schedule that.
I'll definitely be.
Okay.
From me.
All right. Take care,
Right.
sir.
Take
Now,
care.
I think I'm supposed to hit the X, right?
I'll hit the X. I'll hit it.
Oh, you hit the X. Okay.
X. See ya.
Bye, y'all. See ya later.